Hello there. Today we're going to talk about smoking. A typical cigarette yields roughly 1,000 micrograms of nicotine for the smoker. This problem is counting in micrograms, mostly because if we did milligrams, we would have lots and lots of decimals. So a microgram is a millionth of a gram. It's 1,000 milligrams. And then the nicotine loses 8.3% of its potency every 15 minutes. Once again, underlying all the pertinent numbers, and we need to write a now next rule and a y equals rule for the amount remaining in the smoker's bloodstream. So I want to know how much is left. So I'm starting off my rule. The next time cycle, 15 minutes, we're going to have whatever we have now, that's the current amount, and then we're going to lose 8.3% of that current amount. And I'm remembering to convert... Oh, everyone wants to talk to me today. Okay, we are losing 8.3%, convert that to 0.083. So this here is the amount lost. The amount absorbed by the bloodstream, it's no longer there. So how much does remain? The current amount is a full 100%. So if I start with 100% and I lose 8.3%, I'll do my subtraction over here, that's going to leave 91.7%. So I'm going to rewrite this rule and convert that 91.7% back into a decimal. So we're interested in how much remains every 15 minutes, and the remaining amount, if we lose 8.3%, is 91.7%. All next now rules need a starting at value. And we'll remember that this is counting in micrograms. So I have it in this nice format where it's just now times a number, and I got the starting at, so we can easily convert this to a y equals rule. And voila, y equals 1,000 times 0.917 to the x. So now the question is, what's the half-life? How long do we have to wait until half of the amount remains? I'm going to start by looking at a table. So you would do this in your calculator, just type in that rule that we had here and start looking through, and I'm going to fill out those numbers. I am rounding to the nearest whole number. If it asked for it, I would go to 2 decimal places. So I see here after 4, I'm still at 707, and that's not where I need to be. I need to get all the way down to half of this original amount of 1,000. I need to get to 500. So this table has to keep going. Fill in a little bit of that. All right, so I see that to get to that half-life, I have to go all the way down to the 8 here, where it's actually at 499.98. Just under 500. So I need to go to the 8. Now, what is this 8 counting? Is this counting 8 hours? No. This is 8 15-minute periods. So 8 times 15 is 120. That's 120 minutes all in all. Then let's convert that to hours. So our half-life for this whole thing is going to be 2 hours. So it takes me 2 hours to get from 1,000 to 500, and if I kept scrolling in the table, it would be another 2 hours. I would go to the 16 to get the 500 to 250, and then I would go another 2 hours to get from 500 down to 250 down to 125. But that's still a fair amount of nicotine, and we want to know how long before there's only this trace amount of less than 1% of the original amount left in the bloodstream. Well, first thing is the original amount's 1,000, so I got to figure out 1% of that. Set up my multiplication. So we want to know how long until there's only going to be 10 micrograms left. And I'm going to look at this table. Turns out you have to scroll pretty far. So set that up, keep scrolling down. Turns out this one went pretty far. I see it's between the 53 and 54, so I'm going to copy that part of my table on the page to show my work. And we want there to be less than 1%, so I have to go with the 54. And I'm going to 2 decimals here because otherwise they would, those numbers would be Too small to note the difference. So does this mean 54 hours? No, once again, this is counting 15-minute intervals, so I need to convert this. Faster way to convert this time is that 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour, so I'm going to do 54 divided by 4 to get the number of hours. And it took quite a while, 13.5 hours, for just less than 1% of the original amount of nicotine to be remaining in the bloodstream. Stays with you for a while. Thank you for watching. Character and Scholarship for Life.